Hello, my name is Tate Hinsberg. I'm going to be presenting Emperor Hirohito from when he was young, during World War II, so middle age, and when he was older. So we can start here. Hirohito was born on April 29th, 1901. He grew up in the royal palace and was separated from his original family and was put with a new royal family shortly after birth. His grandfather at the time was the crown prince, and later, while Emperor Hirohito was a child, they would also call him Prince Mahichi. Down here, this is where Emperor Hirohito was a teen. As a young man, Hirohito went to a school for boys. It was known, he was put into a class for gifted kids with 12 other boys, and a general known by the name of Marisuke Nogi, which is going to be botched definitely, took an interest in Hirohito's knowledge and helped push him through school. So during World War II, or closer to his middle age, Hirohito took his rightful place on the throne in 1926. His father fell ill, so he took his throne after he came back from his honeymoon with his wife, and he fell ill due to mental illness of becoming old. At the beginning of his reign, the military disobeyed orders and did not tell him about conflicts that were going on. There was a war started between, I think, the Mongolians and China and Japan, with a lot of conflict, and he also found his military into the mainland of Asia. Dug deep into the mainland of Asia. Before the war, Japan's pre-democracy turned into a militarism government, and they grew their military into a gigantic army. In 1940, Hirohito gave his blessing to make the powers known as the Axis powers. This involved Japan, Germany, and the fascist Italy. And the goal was to basically win over the world and become the three biggest dictators in the world. At the beginning of the war, America was not originally into the war. They were led into by Japan, with this bringing into, also had to have conflict in it. In 1940, Japan made a direct attack on America, directed by Emperor Hirohito. It was on Pearl Harbor. 2,500 men died and 18 ships were sinking. The reason for this attack was to demoralize, de-weaponize, and basically hit America hard enough to keep them out of the war. A day later, America made the president at the time made a speech saying how we are now declaring war on Japan, and we joined World War II in 1940. Years later, 1945 in August, America did a run over Japan, dropping 40 million flyers over 30 cities. These flyers held details of two big bombs that were going to bomb two cities. The reason for these bombings were that those cities had very big weaponized factories going on. So when the leaflets were dropped, Hirohito took them all, said that they were propaganda and that's the Americans trying to scare them out of the war. So he took them and destroyed every one of them. The next day, Nagasaki and Hiroshima were bombed. It devastated Japan. It destroyed and leveled two cities. Many lives were killed, or many lives were taken, and the blasts were so severe that you can see the outlines of Japanese citizens on the stairs, on the walls of where they were. Hirohito had to say something about the war, or his citizens would not know what's going on. Throughout the whole war and throughout his whole reign, nobody has heard his voice. He never spoke to his citizens or his country for the fact of that. So what he did is that he took a pre-recorded message and played it on the radios and loud messages, telling the Japanese citizens about the bombing. And what he said was that there has been a change of events for Japan, and it's not in our best interests. The Americans have dropped bombs that have done devastating things, and it's a turning point for Japan, and that's one of the biggest understatements of the war. After the war and after his surrender in 1945, they were de-weaponized, demilitarized, and a lot of their military personnel were executed due to many, many war crimes. Hirohito, though, was not. The reason for Hirohito is that they kept him as a power of less figurehead to help rebuild Japan, and this was in place by the U.S. militarists and General McCarthy at the time. And Japan has been stripped of their weapon in the military for a very long time now. In fact, it's just been recently, like three or more years ago, when they started building their military back up. After that, Hirohito managed to live 40 years after the war. With that, he had to believe that he was not a descendant from a god like past Japanese leaders, due to this, because he could try and lead people into his nation or lead people into his power and start another war. Being able to live 40 years, he saw a lot of great things, like modern technology coming in, like consumer electronics, Godzilla movies, the Japanese baseball league, and car manufacturers like Toyota and Nissan. And he lived a very prosperative life, and he really made an impact on Japan in general.